Here we go. So I'm old enough to remember when this was used as a marketing technique. Do you remember this? Inside of here is 3 servings of vegetables. The kids will never know that they're eating it, right? Famous, worked really well. Sneak your kids some vegetables. Sneaking stuff in places to make it more palatable is an interesting technique, which leads us to what we're talking about today. Sneaking things in. Now that's an interesting topic, right? Because it seems like a bad connotation, but no. This is a positive thing, and this is a game I absolutely want to talk about. Sagrada by Floodgate Games. Now, as you know, if you've seen the last videos, I'm moving. That's why I'm up here at the church shooting these, which is also appropriate because Sagrada is about building stained glass windows in the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona, Spain. Or is it? And that's the interesting question we're going to talk about today, looking at Sagrada. So let's dive in and take a look at this thing and see, are you really building windows or are you really not? Or are you? Let's find out. Let's talk pretty games. First of all, Sagrada by Floodgate. This is a beautiful looking game. Look at the cover here, right? This is one of those show-stopping games that people were walking past in conventions and saying, what is that? I gotta know what this is. The whole thing about me talking about sneaking stuff in, though, is here's the deal. A little bit of history about me. I hate abstract games. Absolutely hate them. It's probably not the game's fault. It's more the game's mechanics fault, and there's no theme, right? And here's what I mean by this. You're going to say, Brian, this isn't an abstract game. It has a theme, clearly. You're building stained glass windows. I get it. But the mechanics of this game, to me, feel like something out of an abstract game. If you strip the theme off this and said, hey, match these dice to these places on your board, you would still have the same game. But this theme, something about this theme makes it so pretty, then makes it work. Well, let's look at what I'm talking about when I say this game is pretty, because Sagrada is a beautiful game. I think I've said that already, but let's look at what comes in this box of components and see why this is one of the prettiest games of the year right now. I mean, right? I told you, look at this thing. Look at these thick cardboard things. Everybody gets one of these cathedral-looking window panes, right? These are gorgeous, thick. Extra thick. So why are they so thick and why is that important? Well, first of all, chunky components mean something to me. They matter. Then look at these beautiful translucent dice. There's 90-something translucent dice in here. What do you need the dice for? Well, everybody's placard here, their window, you'll notice, has a little window pane in it for different pieces of glass to make a mosaic, much like the Sagrada Familia. In fact, they're all named. All of these cards are named, so everyone at the beginning of the game will get one of these cards with the different stained glass things. Now, I'm not 100% sure because I'm not an expert on this, but I'm pretty sure these are probably named after actual stained glass windows in the cathedral, like the Luz Celestial and the Fuego de Cielo. I don't speak Spanish, so that's really tough, but these are beautiful. And you slide yours in here, and it has a template for different things. So for instance, this one, you slide it in here. This is the Shadow Thief, right? This is the Sun Catcher on the back. They all have different layouts. Some of them are easier, some of them are more difficult. What does that matter? Well, you get to pick. Do you want the easy side or the hard side? And it gives you more of these little tokens we'll talk about in a minute. The whole point of the game is you're going to draft out 2 dice or you're going to pull 2 dice out per person plus 1 in a game each round. There are 10 rounds. So the round tracker that also doubles is the score tracker on the back. You say, why would it be on the back? I'll tell you. So in a 2-person game, you're gonna pull out 5 dice. You can do the math, I don't have to keep going up. So for instance, in a 2-person game, you're gonna pull out 5 dice. First player will go first, and then it's snake draft. So the first player picks, let's say I want the 4 here. The first dice has to go on the outside edge, and everything has to be built adjacent to it. That makes it difficult. This game is not easy. So this dice can go there. There are a few placement rules, and I'll explain those right now. And then we'll come back and finish this snake drafting round. First things first, I'll put 1 to the side so we can kind of see it, 1 that's not in the pane, and 1 in the pane so we can kind of put the dice on it to see. So starting blank, let's just say these are the first 5 dice drawn out for the round. You draw them out of the bag, you roll them. So you would have to, on the spaces with a color on them, place that color. On the spaces with a number, you have to place that number. Here's where it gets tricky though. You cannot have 2 of the same color or the same number adjacent orthogonally, which so up, down, left, and right. Diagonally, no problem. In fact, this one requires you to do that. But let's just say your first dice is this. You put a 6 here. Well, or let's say you put a 6 here. You then are now boxed out from putting a 6 on these 3 squares. There are times when at the beginning of the game you think, oh, I'll just put a dice here, no big deal. We'll go from there and roll out with it. And then it gets really difficult because you accidentally put the wrong dice there. You're not thinking, or the dice that you need has been taken, so you're stuck getting some other dice. You can't play a dice, you just pass, and the dice that are unused go up here for some games that have tool cards, and I'll explain those in a minute, where you can pull these back off of there. Now, you snake draft around, you place the dice till at the end of the game, you score. Let's look at what some of the scoring is right now. First scoring mechanic, and this is easiest to explain, is everyone starts the game with one of these 5 secret agenda scoring cards. And by secret agenda, it just means that no one else knows what yours is. So for instance, they're all the same, except they change in color. For this one, let's just say this person had the blue card. It says shades of blue, private sums of values on the blue dice. This is how you get a lot of points. So on this example, you would get 5 plus 4 plus 6 plus 6. So 12, 16, 21 points just from your secret objective. Well, that's not all, because everyone also has in front of them shared some public objectives. And those public objectives are things like this: column shade variety, columns with no repeated values. So, you know, if you had, let's see what I can get here that will work. And this has to be a 5, so that's unfortunate. This has to be a 5. Let's change this to a, let's change it to a 4 and move that for a minute. You would then score based on each column you have a no repeated value. So that would be 4 points. Same thing for a row there, row shade variety, deep shades, sets of 5s and 6s. So on this one, I would get 2 points, 2 points right there. So 4 points for those 2 sets of 5 and 6. Light shades, same thing. These are weird. They're diagonals of the same color of dice. So right here, we would get 1, 2, 3, 4 on those. Row variety color, just colors of individual sets. So anywhere on there, as long as you have a set of all 5 colors, which I think we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 1 point. Now here's an interesting one. If this ever happens, let's just pretend these are not restricted. If these 2 cards are in play, you're going to double score. You're going to always get 10 from this and this. So it's kind of an interesting one to combo with. And then last but not least are these kind of the column variety and the other shades there. That is the public objectives. These are little glass beads that represent these favor tokens down here. Each card, the more difficult, has more. This one contains 6. So you would put 6 on your play area here. And then for each of these you did not spend at the end of the game, you get a point. Also, each open place on your window is worth -1 point. So those are ways to score and not score as well. So what are these tiles or these tokens used on? Well, the tokens are spent on these cards right here, which are tools. At the beginning of each game, there are 3 of these out. You can do this randomly a couple different ways. You can either draw 3 or you can roll the dice and get whichever 3 you draft. But interestingly, you lay 3 of these out and they all do different things. For instance, after drafting, re-roll the drafted dice. If you need a better number, you can try to do this. The way these work is you'll have 3 up at the top, or just in the common play area. The first one costs you 1. Once someone has placed there, they cost you 2, no matter what, even if it's your own. But they don't go up incrementally. The next one wouldn't be 3, it's just 2 each time after that. So you have to kind of gamble. Do you want to use these tools to do what they do? For instance, after drafting, flip the die to its opposite side. One's, flips to a 5 and all that kind of stuff. So you kind of look at the other side of the dice, you say, well, I really need a green 3. You spend it there. These are very helpful, and you only get 3 of them. So the reason this is cool is because there's so much variety, because there's so many tools. You only play with 3 each time. There's so many different scoring cards. You only play with 3 of those each time. Plus you have your private scoring card. So you have multiple different ways to kind of go for points. One more time, I just want to show though component value. No, this is not a component, sorry. However, the component value is there just in all of the quality of the materials. Look at this, very thick cardboard. Each of these cards are double-sided. They're very neat. They slide into the pane. And then the bag, stitched with Sagrada on the front with all of these dice. I'm just going to pour them onto the table here so you can just see how many translucent dice come in this game. Just a lot of dice. And these are not just solid color. They are solid color, but they're not thick matte coated. They're see-through translucent dice, beautiful little tiny dice. So when you see the board, once it's all the way complete, Looks absolutely beautiful, like its own stained glass window. And I love that you're building your own stained glass window. Interesting thing I haven't done though, I haven't looked at these in real life to see if these finished products look in some semblance like the real thing, because obviously these can be any color, the ones that are blank there, so I don't know. P.S. Did I mention insert? Yeah, it's pretty great. So again, sorry for the impromptu backdrop, but we're moving. This is what we have. But Sagrada, you don't care about moving, you care about this game. Sagrada, is it something you should play? 100% yes. This is a great game. This is a buyer game. Even if your friends have it, this is that game you want to try, because 1 to 4 players, any solo game is great. Plus, if you play this thing solo, you're gonna knock it out like that. This goes in 2 players very quickly because you're only drafting 5 dice. Now, there are those moments where it starts to slow down towards the end, and I don't mean slow, but I just mean those moments where you're like, oh, I'm gonna take that, oh, I can't play that dice. I'm gonna take this, I can't play that dice. Oh, I'll just use a tool. Well, I don't have any favorite tokens left. It gets maddening at the end of this, the choices you have to make. But should you get this? 100% yes. I was playing this a few minutes ago through again, and the entire time I kept muttering out loud, I love this game. This is so awesome. This is so great. It just kept coming out because I love this game. It is gorgeous. Sagrada is one of those games I highly recommend. If I gave it a number, I'd give it like a 9, an 8.5, 9. You say, why is that, Brian? Remember at the very beginning, we're talking about sneaking things in, right? You said, Brian, but your whole point is flawed. They're not sneaking this in. They put a theme onto a game and added mechanics to it. You're right. But for me, in the way I like to play games, the games I like to play, I don't like to play those abstract. If you show me those abstract games, I went to a store this week where there was just this wall of abstract games, and it was like a blank board with circular patterns in it, and like white rocks and black rocks. And I was like, oh my gosh, that looks like a root canal. There are people who love those games, and that's fine. That's where subjectivity comes in. You can like that game, but this game has all of those mechanics. This could have been done with a sheet of scratch paper and no theme, and called like Yahtzee window or something. I don't know, it's not Yahtzee, but you know what I'm saying? Like, it could have been called Yahtzee window, right? And you're just, hey, we're putting a bunch of dice in a 5x5 grid. Let's see how you do at the end of this by not matching colors and not matching this. And here's a few special powers to set it up. It could have been Uno dice. It could have been anything. But because they thought about this and said, hey, here's a beautiful theme, and here's a really cool historical piece, wonder of the world type theme, let's make that what Sagrada is. It sells it. It wins. It's a huge win. You need to check out Sagrada. I really don't need to say much more. Sometimes I go on, I've been told in the comment sections. But I love this game. You need to check it out. Sagrada by Floodgate Games. Make sure you check this game out. So for more, make sure to watch me on the latest retro here on the Dice Tower, Brian Drake. If you want to check out our website with the magic and the illusions and all that stuff, we just got a brand new website as well, BrianDrakeShow.com. Until next time, we'll see ya.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.